Hey everybody, welcome back to my latest video. Been a bit of a layoff. Not a whole lot going on. Not too much really coming out the past couple weeks, but and plus I've been sick for about a week or so, maybe even longer. Finally over that, feeling better, and happy to join you guys again. Um, Before I start, thanks as usual to everybody who subscribed and any new subscribers. Thanks for jumping on too, and let's get into it. Um, Got some starting off with the new pop so far. Um, Valentine's Day gift from my significant other, original Black Widow. This is from Tales of Suspense #5. This was her first appearance, and when I first saw her, I thought she was a DC figure. I thought she was a DC character. The blue really threw me off. Like she was part of Hawk and Dove. Um, I had no idea that was a Marvel. That was Black Widow back then. I'd never seen that costume before, so that one was pretty cool. I'd seen it once before, and I was on the fence about that one, but I'm glad she got that one. That's kind of the oddball so far of the group. Um, Next one is part of the Fantastic Four I'm building. The Thing, and yeah, he's a little on the cute side in a bobblehead sort of way. He's got his big head and angry frown, but there's some cuteness in the Thing. That's actually one of the better ones. One of the better ones I've seen in a while. And last one is one that I happened to find by chance at my local store, not too far from me. Um, Glow in the dark Human Torch. That one's really cool. And it's Johnny Storm in his form of Johnny Storm right now before he turns to Flame On. Um, uh, Newest books, Star #2. It's a really cool cover on that one. Iron Man 2020 #3. An ode to the Machine Man covers from the 80s. That 4-issue series was actually really cool. I should really read that one. I haven't really made the time to read that one yet, but um, that's that cover from issue #2 of Machine Man. I believe that series came out in 1984. Um, really like to uh, get the issue to #2, which I missed, with that cover of building Iron Man in the form of Machine Man. So that one's pretty cool. Um, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers #48, the Chrome Black Ranger Dragon Shield cover. Can never have too many Chrome covers. I'm still just a sucker for Chrome and hollow covers and all those gimmicks that I grew up with. That I'm pretty sure every collector, period, but every collector of my age and my generation, yeah, we remember those. We definitely remember those. They always got you in, just like now with all the alternate covers and everything. But to me, those were the ultimate. Those were the original alternate covers. Um, Superman #672. That's an odd cover, but it's that was an interesting cover more than an odd cover. But that one got my attention a little bit. My girlfriend picked up all of these for me, so thank you to her, because she's usually closest to the local store downtown near her job. So every so often she'll drop in, look for some stuff for me, get something for herself, which she should, because she works hard. So she should treat herself to a nice gift for herself in the realm of nerd culture, um, geek culture, and be proud of that. Um, Green Lantern #11. Definitely jumping on board with Green Lantern now. Well, I have been for a while, but this is the 2006 series when Jeff Johns was writing it. #12. Really cool cover on that one. uh, Green Lantern #14. Definitely a big Green Lantern fan. Big DC fan, I think, as everybody knows by now, but definitely a Green Lantern fan. #16. And hopefully they'll get it right if they do the movie again, and it won't be the special effects disaster I want to say spectacular, but not in a good way that it was the first time. Number 17. Number 18. And number 19. Probably my favorite so far of the Green Lantern covers that were picked up yesterday. Number 31. Always cool to see Hal Jordan in all his glory. Number 35. The menacing looking cover on that one. Um, Ex Machina number 9. Still definitely after that series. That one's progressing pretty nicely, and hopefully it won't take too much longer until I can finish that one. But definitely want to finish that series. Green Arrow number 75. The final issue of this volume of Green Arrow, which is actually, or which was a hell of a book. Uh, Probably a better book than it gets credit for, I think, a lot of times. Um, Green Arrow number 43, part of the Rebirth line. Um, and Green Arrow number 44. It's one thing I liked about Green Arrow. A lot of the covers that were really cool. A lot of the best covers, to me, were in step with the stories. Good stories out of Green Arrow. Um, some underrated, not really appreciated. Maybe not appreciated, but there's a lot of good stories out of Green Arrow. Just didn't get the. A lot of times didn't seem to get the audience that it deserved. Um, Original series of Green Arrow with Mike Grell, number 24. Deep, rich red cover on that one. Letter 44. Never really read this book before. It's a pretty unique cover. It's an unusual one. Never really read that one before. It kind of cool when I first saw it. And once again, uh, back to the shtick that we all knew growing up. Quantum and Woody number 11. Hollow cover. I never really read Quantum and Woody before. I like the Valiant characters, maybe two, three characters out of the universe I like. Never really read Quantum and Woody before, but um, that one most likely probably just for the cover. But I'll still read it anyway. Check it out, see what the story was about. I already 11 issues into the series, but still worth still worth at least a read. Um, and one of the things that I got in the mail some time ago that I kept forgetting to mention, which wasn't a well, it was a surprise because I had no idea it was even going to be done until I just happened upon a story one day. Um, just cruising the pages, the fan pages and stuff, and um, oh, one last one, forgot to mention the Ultra prints from the Fleer Ultra Marvel X-Men set, and those are getting more increasingly harder to find in print form like that. And anytime I go to the conventions, I always look around for those. Um, I found some years ago at one of my very first conventions, maybe my second or third convention out, and probably the early 2000s. And I found them, and they're about the size of standard uh, your standard board that you put in with your books. And of course, they have the image of the card printed on the uh, on the board. So it's a promotional thing, one big promotional card because you got the uncut sheets tend to that they used to tend to release um, at the comic stores if they have some free giveaways or something like that. And in this case, this is just a bigger version of it. So definitely looking for those, and I love finding those anytime I can in the stores or at the conventions or anywhere like that. So those are always nice little gems to find in there too. Um, Back to my previous statement. There was a book that was coming out that I had no idea was going to be done until I happened to see uh, a personal advertisement for it on the fan page, and it concerned a local author by the name of Jason Chihuahua, and uh, he happened to have a back and forth correspondence with the late great Steve Ditko, and of course Steve Ditko was the very first artist for Amazing Spider-Man in the early '60s, working with Stan Lee to get the not to get the title off the ground per se, but he worked with Stan Lee on those early legendary stories um, in the early '60s until he left for whatever reason because of the rumors of the falling out between him and Stan Lee over a particular character that they just could not agree on. But it was probably more than that. They weren't really letting on because Steve Ditko rarely, if ever, well, actually not at all. He did no interviews for years, ever since maybe the mid to late '60s, I want to say. But he never did any interviews, and for the longest time, nobody really knew if he was even alive until you'd see maybe you'd see a work for hire cover for DC, work for hire cover for Marvel, something like that. But he was just such a recluse. And if recluse isn't the right word, he just shunned the publicity, shunned public living, public life. He just wanted to do his comics and live his life, which you can respect. But us as fans, yeah, we were always trying to find out what happened to him for years, or where he was, if he was even alive. And he happened to have a back and forth correspondence with Steve Ditko for about a year or so, and he was and he is a huge Spider-Man fan too, which is even better. And um, he happened to send letters, and they would send each other letters back and forth, and he put them all plus his experience with Steve Ditko and various other people that knew him in book form, and he released Regards Ditko. And this was actually a really, really interesting book, much more interesting than it seemed, because he does tell his story from the time he was a kid, and it took me back to when I was a kid, because we coincidentally went to the same comic store um, that's mentioned in the book, and the it took me back to that time when I was about 14, 15, going to that store and picking up the new issues and coming across the owner. And uh, yeah, he was a particular guy, but he was always good to me. He was always good to me. Could be a little prickly at times, but we had a pretty good rapport. Um, but it's a very interesting book. It talks about the encounters he had at conventions, trying to find out where he could find any information or even possibly meet Steve Ditko. Um, and it reminds me of my own uh, one-time correspondence with Mr. Ditko shortly before he passed on, about 2018 or so. And I'm forever grateful that I was able to send him a letter, and I was shocked, but very grateful that he sent one back. He responded to mine back, and it was a question of particular importance to me. Um, and that's something that's a prized possession of mine. It's a treasured item, and I don't think I'll ever part with that. Um, but if you guys are interested in it, check it out on um, Goodreads. The reviews, there's some there. You might be able to find it. You'll probably be able to find it on Amazon. Um, and if you do, just read the synopsis a little bit, see what it's about, see if it interests you. But it is definitely a nice change of pace, a step outside of the actual comic world and things, and just something a little different outside of what we already know in the form of comic books. Um, so yeah, definitely check that out. And final question: what do you think about the possibility of DC, if nobody's heard, selling out to Marvel in the event that DC's latest creation or idea of 5G doesn't work out? And this is before Dan Didio was fired from DC. based on his described meddling and creating a not very good workplace. So there's a possibility that DC could sell to Marvel if 5G doesn't work, if they go ahead and do 5G, which quite frankly they shouldn't, based on what little I know about it. So if they do it, it's it's going to be probably the ultimate test of whether DC is going to survive or not. So let me know what you guys think about it, DC as a whole, and um, whether or not the 5G thing could possibly hurt or help DC in any way. And in the comments below, just let me know what you guys think. Until then, love what you collect what you love, and I'll see you again. And hopefully soon we will do a live video. But that's all I can say for now. So until then, take care, everybody. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you soon.